Welcome into Overtime, presented by McDonald's Dewey Daily, along with John Bruce for today's show, everybody's favorite weekly podcast, yes. Back for episode 27 on this Tuesday. As always, going to talk a little bit of boys, a little bit of girls. We'll start with boys. Pretty interesting week, especially on the boys' side. Had some last-second game winners, which we'll jump into to start off the show.
Yeah, and I got to go down to Shawnee State at the battle in the 7-4-0. We'll talk about a couple of those games, but got to see some really good teams play and see some teams playing some competition from outside of our area. And on the boys' side, it didn't necessarily go very well because we didn't take home a win from a team from outside the area. But the girls went very well, and we'll talk about that as well. But the boys, I thought, competed really well with some of the top teams from the Columbus area, and we got to see a couple of standouts that maybe a little better than what we thought in the early going. So should be an interesting week. I'm excited to get going. When you said on Tuesday, we don't have to talk about tomorrow because it is Tuesday.
Right. Right. 12:09 in the morning.
Yeah, we got to see some nice Monday Night Football and whatnot tonight. So yeah, should be a fun episode, and hopefully by the end of it, we're not falling asleep.
Yeah, hopefully not. I think I'll be okay. As always, we'll start with boys, talk some individual performances, talk some team performances, and then at the end we'll preview some games that we're looking forward to this week, and even one that we'll be at a little bit later on tonight. But we'll get into that a little bit later. And then girls will follow, same format as always. Timestamps down below if you can take a look at what we're going to talk about. If you see something you like, just jump right to it. Makes it a lot easier. And I think timestamps are everybody's favorite part of this show.
Make sure you find them.
Yeah, they're down there.
Yeah.
So we'll start off with Tate Davis, the junior, the lone All-FAC selection for the Indians that we previewed a little bit in, the previews, that he was sort of the main guy coming back for them, and so far has been a big reason in the Indians' success. Dropped 27 against Jackson last week, had a game winner at the buzzer from, I forget what
about 27.
Yeah. It was a very deep three. I think we posted the huddle video on our socials. So if you didn't get a chance to see it, you can go check that out on our Facebook or Twitter pages. Now, it did snap a 3-game losing streak against Jackson, so they have that going for them. They went 6-17 last year. 2 of those were to Jackson. As I previously mentioned, they had lost 3 consecutive games to the Ironmen. They're off to a 2-0 start this season. So far for Hillsboro, it's been a pretty desirable start to this season. They host Miami Trace on Tuesday. They host Chillicothe on Friday, and then they head to Waverly on Saturday. So I think those 3 teams, it'll sort of be interesting to see how they stand up against them, as Miami Trace, I think we're sort of anticipating, will be towards the top in the FAC. Chillicothe's sort of a question mark, at least for me anyway. And then Waverly's honestly kind of been, I know they just lost to Jackson.
Surprise, yeah.
But, I mean, they've sort of been a bit, maybe not impressive, but more impressive
I would say impressive, because I don't think after we saw them play Southeastern and then Eastern play against Piketon, I think we thought, especially at home, Eastern would have taken that game. But, Waverly took the lead late in the third quarter and then controlled the entire fourth and got a pretty easy win there. So Waverly, I think, maybe getting started a little quicker than what people anticipated at 3-1. Miami Trace starting off 1-2, maybe a little slower than people anticipated, but I still think they have a chance to have a really good year. And Hillsboro off to a really good start, and Tate he's one of the better just overall shooters you're going to see, but also can do a lot of things off the dribble, and is a big matchup problem with his size and speed at the guard position.
I will say for Waverly, it took him 20 less. What did they? I think they were 3-20 last year, so it took them 20 less games to win more.
Well,
games
2-20 last year, yeah.
Oh, 2-20. Yeah. So it took them 19 less games to win more games than they did last year. So they've had a great year. I'm definitely interested. I don't think we're going to talk about them specifically this episode, but I am interested to see how they start to pan out once it gets into SOC3 league play, which I don't think starts until
January,
yeah, sometime in January. So we have a little while until they get out of the non-league, but a matchup with Hillsboro this Saturday, so I think that one will be one to watch to get a feel for both of those teams. Now for Jackson, they are 2-2. I think their other loss was over in Indiana to Portsmouth West. They're at Courthouse on Tuesday. They're at Miami Trace on Friday, and then they host Unioto on Saturday. So a tough lineup this week or a tough schedule this week for the Ironmen. We are somewhat anticipating seeing that game on Friday at Miami Trace. No official wording on that yet, but the plan now is to live stream that game. So don't hold me to it, but I'm hoping we'll be able to get up there.
We'll have an announcement out early-ish in the week, probably Thursday.
Yeah, it's probably the day before, if we're doing it.
Yeah.
But announcement could also come Friday, 3 hours before the game.
If you check the overtime page, I think there might be an announcement earlier. Yeah. But, so Jackson, it doesn't get any easier, at Courthouse and at Miami Trace. Real tough, and then Unioto's a solid squad coming off a tough weekend, so they're going to be hungry to try to get a couple wins, especially a big non-league win. So that's those are 3 Division II games. They're going to be, well, I guess if it's onto the Max Preps way of voting this year, then it's not as impactful to impress the voters. But every one of those games matters for you, right. Come tournament time. So big week for Jackson ahead.
So we'll move to the MSL now. Caleb Schmelzer, the reigning MSL Buckeye Player of the Year for the Falcons. 27 points in the win over Bloom Carroll. Had a game-winning 3 at the buzzer. They were down by 2, so had to be a 3 to win it. I think when he let go of it, he was closer to the elbows. In the video, he was running up and then just like one-legged off from beyond the arc. And I mean, it was probably one of the shorter threes you can take, but being in the air doesn't make it any
especially
easier.
With how long he is too. So it was off of what I had read was it was off a missed free throw. He got the rebound and just went down court looking to, get Finish a shot off. Yeah. And the slow motion video of it. Did you see the slow motion?
That's the only one I saw.
And it's so perfect because you can see it. He releases at like 0.3 or 0.4, and you can just as soon as it goes through, most of the players for Fairfield Union are jumping, and then you can just tell the Bloom Carrolls are like trying to find out if it's a 2 or a 3. Right. Because there's clearly no time left. So it's a pretty cool way to win a game at home, especially over a rival in Bloom Carroll.
Yep. 3-game win streak now for the Falcons over Bloom Carroll. Swept the season series last year, now off to a 1-0 start against the Bulldogs this season. A 4-0 start for Fairfield Union. They're 2-0 in the MSL when they beat, I think it was Liberty Union in the season opener, and then obviously Bloom in that game. And then they also have non-league wins over Alexander and West Muscatine. They're probably going to move to 5-0 as Tuesday they travel to Amanda Clear Creek, who was 0-4. They were winless, but they did pick up a 53-13 win over East Knox.
0-4, and then you win by 40.
Yeah. So I'm not totally sure how good East Knox is, but dropping by 40, dropping a game by 40 to Amanda, considering what Amanda has done so far this year, is not the best look. But
one thing I'll say about Amanda, they have some good athletes. They're just really young. Really young. So when I saw their roster when they played Westfall was just a whole lot of sophomores, a couple freshmen.
Well, they're going through it right now.
Yeah.
They had, dominated for a while, and they're sort of trying to find themselves again. But for Fairfield Union, they are at Taze Valley this Saturday. I think that's potentially the game of the week in our coverage area if you count Taze Valley in our area. I know that's up by Asheville, but that was the only MSL lost last season for the Falcons, and actually those 2 games last year, the first one 56-55 Taze Valley, 52-41 Fairfield Union, 52-51 Fairfield Union. So they literally scored the same amount of points in the 2 meetings. Just one time Fairfield Union won by 1, and another time Taze Valley won by 1. So it was extremely even last year. I mean, for Fairfield Union, bringing back a lot of the same people. I believe Taze Valley was as well. I think their 2 first-team selections were both sophomores. So, I think it's going to be pretty even once again. It is at Taze Valley. That's on Saturday. Now, for Bloom Carroll, they are off to an 0-2 start. They opened up with a loss to Johnstown Monroe, and then obviously Fairfield Union. They actually have Taze Valley today on Tuesday, and then they are at Liberty Union on Saturday, who played Fairfield Union relatively close. It was a 49-43 loss to the Falcons in their opener. Now, I know we're sort of talking Bloom and Fairfield Union, but for Taze Valley, it's a bit of a gauntlet week as they're at Bloom on Tuesday, and then they host Fairfield Union on Saturday. So really all top three of, you could probably the presumable top three in the MSL are all playing each other in about a week's time, as you have Bloom and Taze on last Saturday, and then the other combinations playing the next week. So
yeah, it's a tough league to start with, but man, that's a heck of a week for Taze. But it's a very good conference because you still we'll talk about them in a little bit, but Circleville and Logan Elm, and obviously it seems like Liberty Union must be pretty solid to play Fairfield. Play Fairfield Union that tough to start the season. So. It's a league where you got to bring it every night, and Hamilton Township actually beat Logan Elm, so they're a young group who they every once in a while Hamilton Township, like we saw in football, just is really good. Like
I never really figured them out.
Yeah,
it's did they beat Miami Trace in the playoffs? Did Miami Trace beat them?
We're so bad at this.
I can't remember. I don't know. They beat Bloom, and then they lost to Logan Elm by a bunch, and that was just like, I know this is a basketball podcast, but I feel like, did Miami Trace beat them?
I think they did, because I think they ended
It was like 55-27 or something, I thought. Or something ridiculous.
Miami Trace won 55-34.
Yeah, like Hamilton Township had such an unpredictable finish to the season.
Yeah,
if you put money down on them to lose to Logan Elm and Miami Trace, you would have made so much money.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have thought they would have lost to Logan Elm after beating Bloom Carroll, and then Logan Elm just put it on them.
Well, and Miami Trace and Hamilton kind of had the same year, where it's kind of hard to figure either of them out, because Miami Trace beat Waverly and then just kind of stumbled around the rest of the year. And then Hamilton beat Bloom, and then they stumbled to end the year. So the MSL is something else, I must say.
Yeah. So then moving on, there's a couple of players from Wheelersburg that we'll talk about. Landon McGraw, a sophomore, and Devon Lattimore, a senior. And their loss to Harvest Prep on Sunday, which was a very impressive loss.
I think it was a little closer than people anticipated.
Yeah, it was. It did not start off well for Wheelersburg, at all. They were down 18-7 after the first quarter, but it felt like it was just about to be just blowout city. And then late in the first half, Lattimore hits a 3 to cut the lead to 2, and then got teed up. So I'm sure whatever he said to the player was in response to something the player had said. So a couple free throws for, actually, I think it cut it to 3, and then Harvest Prep was able to build it back up to 7 at the break. So they're up by 7, and Wheelersburg actually took the lead after 3 quarters, and then Harvest Prep kind of just, they were able to start getting the ball inside a little bit better than they had been previously, but and end up going away with a 67-58 win. It was a game that, when I saw the schedule, I was like, man, that's the only one that's not a balanced matchup between, what the teams have coming back. But man, the sophomores for Wheelersburg are really good. And then Lattimore gives them just an extra, boost that, they didn't have initially. And the biggest thing for me was if Wheelersburg had been, a little more prepared for the intense speed and quickness that Harvest Prep was going to bring, they win that game. Because it wasn't until the second quarter when they finally realized, we can handle this. Playing a lot of young kids. And then even Lattimore, it seemed like he settled down in that second quarter. It was just an outstanding effort for Wheelersburg. I think that's going to make, Harvest Prep as a team that normally whenever they have a choice of where they're going to go, because the Central District splits between the Southeast and the Southwest, And typically they come to the Southeast, the number 1 seed does. At least this time, I think they're going to at least, be like, I don't know. Because if Wheelersburg's not supposed to be one of the top teams in the district, that's going to make it a pretty tough Division III district. On the day, Lattimore and McGraw each had 19 points. McGraw had a couple of really tough 3-point plays in that third quarter to help give them the lead. They just, kind of ran out of steam there late, and a little bit of size. They're undersized overall as a team, but they played 4 or 5 sophomores, 1 junior, a couple seniors, but for the most part, watch out for that Wheelersburg team. That was an outstanding effort from them. Me being not as professional as you, I didn't write down their schedule for the week, but it's a team that, I think they're really well coached. I think Coach, Prater's got an absurd amount of energy on the sideline, and you can tell the players feed off it as well.
I believe that was their first game of the season as well.
They played Oak Hill on Friday.
Oh, so they just hasn't been
that part
into. So they're at Greenup County Tuesday, and then they go to Eastern on Saturday. So.
Yeah, and Greenup County had beaten Valley, to open up the season. So that'll be, a good test to see where Wheelersburg is in comparison to Valley. That's not directly how you do it, but, it can be a good eye test for them. But I think that Wheelersburg team by the end of the year is going to be really tough. And I think they're going to have, maybe they don't win the SOC3, but I think they're going to have something to say about who will win the SOC3 just because of how talented that young group is. And then moving on to, another one down the river in Ironton, the Fighting Tigers, they beat Fairview from West Virginia, scoring 95 points against them without Sean Terry playing in the game. And a lot of it was because Brayden Schreck, a junior, listen to this line, 37 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists in the win. Like,
few off from a little trippy W.
And that's not even talking about his steals because, I'm sure there's probably a few of those in there. If you're putting up 95 points in a game, I'm going to say Fairview. I doubt they practiced yesterday, but I would say in their Monday.
Oh man, Fairview. That's who we were looking at. That's
on the girls' side. Yeah.
Oh man.
Fairview. I hope that they are working on defense.
3 and 4 on the boys' side.
Hey, but 95 points is a lot.
Yeah, that's their worst loss though.
That's good.
They've been hammering some teams. 52-46. These are their losses. Yeah. 52-46, 53-43. They had a 97-62 win.
So they must play fast.
Grace Christian.
Yeah, they were not. It was not very Christian-like of them to beat them by try to put up a hundo on them. But, so very impressive for Ironton to do it without Terry on the day. So I'm excited to see how the Fighting Tigers do this season. I got to watch Fairland, which
had 1 steal.
1 steal? Come on. You're better than that. But I got to watch Fairland. Fairland's really tough. South Point, I know, is really tough. Minford is very good. Like, with Wheelersburg and Ironton, like, Division III used to be just, like, it was a nightmare, to try to get out.
North Adams in there.
They had North Adams, yeah. So, I mean, that's 6 teams right there that are, very good. And then, like, Zane Trace beats Unioto the other day. They're just going to get better.
Where does D3 play the district finals at?
It'll be at the combo.
Oh, at the combo.
Yeah, but the semis won't be. And then when they go to...
It doesn't really matter for our purposes anyway, but...
Well, it should.
We won't live stream any district semis.
We may.
We did last year.
Yeah, but that's because of the regional stuff.
We didn't do any girls district semis either. We did 2 sectional finals.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
We usually stay away from those because...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because it was so spread out, too.
Well, and they charged
dollars. Yeah.
I don't think the matchups in the district semis were, like...
As good as what they'll be in this.
Yeah.
I think this might be... Yeah, because these games seem like...
We just named off, 6 teams that...
Yeah.
Could be... I mean, it could go
and that
either
was
way.
Yeah, and that was without, like... As I was kind of saying, with Zane Trace is looking like they're going to be better throughout the year. I'm just going to... Eastern Brown is another one...
I'll be the first to say I sort of was a little low on, but they've had some guys that didn't do much last year, or maybe were on JV or whatever, that have stepped up. I can't remember the kid's name off the top of my head, but he's like second in the shack in points, and the only reason he's not first is because Copus is averaging like 23. But yeah, I mean,
yeah, I knew Eastern was excited about their young group, but it seems like even the kids coming back, they might have gotten jumped by
Grady Barber.
Oh, okay,
averaging 15 a game. I mean,
yeah, I saw him play. He started to play a little bit later in the year because I saw him down in North Adams, and he was pretty good as a freshman last year. And so I mean, there's 8 teams right there. I think in Adena, Westfall are interesting. Maybe Westfall more in the front half of the season.
I think Adena.
Like could. West just beat Jackson. I mean, Division III is going to be,
we could see some not mishaps. We could see some upsets in the sectional rounds for sure.
Well, and then I know they're not there this year, but Lynchburg, the year they went to state, they weren't like I want to say they were like a 4 or 5 seed coming into the tournament. So I mean, I feel like this could be a year where someone.
I mean, Southeastern. Well, they're D4, aren't they?
They were D3 that year.
I mean,
yeah, they were
a district.
Yeah,
like an 11-15 record or something. I mean, you just never know when you get some of these close to 500 teams that have some impressive. Like, I would assume West will probably finish close to 5, like somewhere around 5, maybe a few games over, and maybe draw like a 7 or 8 seed. And I mean, you get matched up in the district semis against, whoever won, like a Minford or something. Like, I mean, that would be their 3rd time playing. So it's just
and you get
or North Adams. I mean,
and then Meg's played Vinton County tough the other day. So I mean, that's just naming off. We're just naming off teams that could do something, and that's not even, like those top 6 that we talked about are probably above, but it's gonna be fun to follow this year.
And then speaking of Vinton County, our last individual performer over the last week was Garrett Brown over at Vinton County, not only getting it done on the gridiron, but I think this was their first game was it their first game of the season against Zane Trace, or was that their second? I believe it was their second because Logan was the first one. Logan, and then played Meigs a little bit after. But for the game against Zane Trace, a win for Vinton County. They're 3-0 on the season. Brown with 33 points. 18 of those coming from beyond the arc. Hit 6 threes. As I mentioned, 3-0 start wins over Logan, ZT, and Meigs. Coming up this week, they're at River Valley on Tuesday, so expect them to move to 4-0, and really expect them to move to 5-0 as they travel to Athens on Friday. Between River Valley and Athens, a 1-5 combined record. Between those two, River Valley 1-3, Athens 0-2. So, I mean, for Vinton County, a great chance to start off 5-0.
Yeah, and it's a team with a lot of expectations for the year. They have a lot of kids back from last year. They also got like Ashton Allman inside, Cobra Sharp, which is a great name, running the point for them. They've got some kids back that won a lot of games last year, and I think they're the heavy favorite in the TVC Ohio, and especially with already beating Meigs, because that was one of the ones that when I saw them this summer, I thought was going to be an interesting matchup in that league. So. Vinton County, led by Garrett Brown's scoring ability, off to a hot start and has a chance to have a really good start.
I feel like any time you have a kid his size that can also shoot threes, it's like it makes it tough because he's going to match up against, like, more times than not some big kid that's on him because he's probably too slow to guard a guard. And then when you pretty much force that dude to come out of the paint to guard him, it's like he's not going to be there to get rebounds. And, he's most of the time the dude that's guarding Garrett Brown probably going to be too slow to get a body on him with, like, the whole court to work with, not just the paint. So, I mean, it just having to guard somebody like that just makes it a whole lot more difficult than guarding a traditional big guy.
And if you put a shorter, quicker person on him, he's just going to use his
overpower him.
Yeah. So
I think the football had him at, like, the program had him at like 6'2", like 20 or something like I forget. That may not be correct,
yeah, and that's
something like that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a fun matchup for a guard or let's say a 6'5", lengthy big that's not as fleet-footed because he's gonna he's pretty smooth as well. So I mean that's definitely a tough matchup for anybody.
All right, so we'll talk about a couple team performances over the weekend, some big wins, some nail-biters over the weekend. First was Zane Trace taking down Unioto in a 49-46 home victory, trailing by 9 in the fourth. Come all the way back to win a big stop there. I don't think Unioto got a shot off on that last possession, so put the clamps on to finish the game.
Yeah, and really they did throughout the fourth. It was 38-31 going into the fourth, so Unioto only scored 8 points in that fourth quarter. Landon Gerald really took over in that fourth. I had originally miscounted his numbers. I gave him 17 points. He had 20 on the night, but he had when they're trailing by 9. I don't remember who missed the shot, but a shot was missed. Unioto actually controlled the rebound, but as the player was coming down, I think he felt like he got bumped and kind of threw the ball back in. Went to Gerald. He hits a 3, gets fouled, makes the free throw. They get a stop on the other end. Then in transition, Landon Robinson hits a 3. So it goes from being a 9-point game to a 2-point game in about 25 seconds of game time. And after that, it was, nip and tuck the rest of the way. Gerald gets a 3-point play to give them their first lead with about 3 minutes left in the contest. Then after a Blake Hoop steal and layup to tie it, Unioto, it appears gets a stop, but the ball goes out of bounds, ends up being Zane Trace ball, which I think was the right call. And, Zane Trace able to get it to Gerald, who, after he was being face guarded, they're able to get it to him. He breaks down his defender, hits Ezra Rippeth, who is cutting hard to the basket, and he scores over top of a shot blocker, which is, a really tough play for another guard to score on. With 50 seconds to play, Unioto missed a pair of free throws. Gerald splits a pair, and then with the last 22 seconds, Unioto is unable to get a shot off. As Zane Trace, like you said, put the clamps on, just did a really good job of, flocking everywhere defensively in that game. So, Zane Trace's first win of the year. They go to 1-2, 1-0 in the SVC, which is the most important part of there. After losing close games to Circleville and then a little wider against Vinton County, but that was a tight game going into the fourth.
It also helps that Garrett Brown had a legacy game against him. So.
Yeah, but for Zane Trace, like I mentioned, going to 1-2 overall, really good games from Gerald and Robinson, and then Rippeth with the big basket. Carter Langley had a nice start to the second half. It was a game Unioto led by seemingly 8-10 throughout most of it. They're up 10 late in the first half, go a little quick on their last second play, and then Brock Gerald hits a runner in transition to end the half, make it 8. Zane Trace cut it back down to 2, but Unioto spread it back out, and it felt like they were going to be able to win it, but unable to do so. For Unioto, who ended up losing. So that was on Saturday night. They had to go back on Sunday and play a really good Fairland team. Lost that game 59-43. So they've got a tough week coming up with Adena at home and then at Jackson on Saturday. But another double-double for KB Perkins in that game. He had 14 points, 13 rebounds. It's kind of what you expect out of him. They've got Unioto on the year has, out of their 3-pointers made, Zeke Shoblock has made all but 1. So they've got to figure out something shooting-wise, or else it could be a long year. Because that Fairland game, I think Fairland, they beat them by 16, outscored them by 15 from the 3-point line. So, I mean, that's if you can't make threes, you got to be able to get stops on threes.
2023, there's no more hook shots, and
you
got to be able to spread it out.
Yeah, so will be a little tough week for them coming up, so I'm interested to see how they do.
I will say I am sort of excited to see. I think a lot of people expected Unioto to be like head and shoulders above the rest of the league. Now, it is just one game, but just from the looks of this final, I think I'm a little bit more excited about the league, because I think just any combination of Zane Trace, Unioto, and Adena facing each other. Now, we haven't seen Adena against either of these teams, but I think Adena has sort of had some preseason hype. So as of now, and we'll see Unioto. You think you said on Friday those two teams play? Yep. Unioto and Adena.
I think that's our other option if the one falls through.
Right. But Unioto, Adena, and Zane Trace, any combination of those three.
Well, Zane Trace this week, their only game is at Piketon on Friday. On Tuesday, at Adena.
There we go.
There you go.
Maybe we make our way over to Frankfurt on Tuesday if we don't have anything on the schedule. Because any combination of those three, I think, as of now, those look like they'll all be great matchups. Because it seems the league among the top seems a lot more balanced than I think we may have thought coming in.
Yeah, and Zane Trace's schedule is not easy because you got to go to the oven. Yeah, Piketon's 0-3, but they've played 3 good teams, and so that's not the easiest. Then you're at Adena, then you got Jackson, and then you're at Logan Elm. That's just not a great fun start for a team that was losing so much scoring. But really, they've
you don't have to score a lot if you
play really good. Yeah. and seemingly undersized. After the first quarter in that Unioto game, the rebounding was pretty even. The first quarter, it was very unbalanced. But after that, it seemed like they did a lot better job of team rebounding.
Like 49-46, neither of those are particularly high. That's just over 10 points a quarter.
Yeah, so, and then against Circleville, they lost 49-43. So, that's, if they can hit some shots, which, they did against Unioto, they're going to have a chance to win a lot of games. So.
All right, so we'll look at one other matchup over the past week. Western and Whiteoak go to double overtime. Western takes it 72-70. Drew Hagee with 31, Cam Janes with 28 for the Indians. Over the first, I think they've played 5 games now, but regardless, over the start of this season.
With 5 overtime periods.
Yeah. So far on the season for Western, team is averaging 66 points a game. Hagee and Janes are averaging 46 of those. So you're getting 2/3 of your points from 2 players, which, if they're consistent, we've seen Hagee go crazy and Janes not as much, still in double figures, but not as much. And we've seen Janes go crazy against Piketon, and then Hagee had to step up a little bit later because Janes got into foul trouble. But we've also seen games where they both go for 20+. So it just seems like any given night, one or both of them are able to just absolutely go crazy. And then Weston Blair and Xander Rhodes led the Wildcats in scoring. Blair with 22, Rhodes with 16. And we were just talking about Division III, but man, Division IV seems like it could be fairly interesting as well. I know Whiteoak obviously coming out of the shack, but if you just look to the SOC 2, Northwest, I'm assuming is D4. Are they D3?
They might be D3.
Add them into the D3 pile.
Yeah.
Now,
pile.
I'm pretty fairly certain Eastern is D4.
They are.
So, Eastern, Whiteoak is definitely D4. Western, Eastern, Whiteoak. We've got some teams hanging out in the D. Eastern Brown is D3, aren't they?
Yeah. They're the only Eastern in D3 because Eastern Megs is. Wow. Although I don't think they. Yeah, I think they're. I don't think they've had as good of a start to boys basketball as they did in football. But Western and Whiteoak go to double OT. Yeah, and for Whiteoak, I think it was kind of some attrition in that game as they had 3 players foul out of their 8 that played in the game. So not ideal for them in that situation. And Blair being one of them. Rhodes knocked down 4 threes for them in the game. So, they graduated, a really good senior class a year ago. They had to replace a coach and they didn't do it until late. So, anything for Whiteoak, I think looking at that game ahead of time, I was like, man, it's probably going to be an easy one for Western, but man, Whiteoak gave them all they could handle, and it makes me a little more optimistic about Whiteoak's chances this season as well.
All right, so we'll jump into the game previews for this week. We have 3 games on tap, 2 of which were actually 3 of which. Wait, hold on. Let me check that again. 2 of which we're not going to preview the Miami Trace Jackson game, but we are going to look at 2 others. One for sure, another one we'll see what happens. But we'll start off with Minford at North Adams. This is Tuesday night's game, a rematch of one of last year's D3 district finals, John, a game in which A 54-46 North Adams victory sort of shocked the coverage area a little bit. I think a lot of us were expecting Minford to go on a run and reach the regional tournament, but North Adams wins their first district title since 2009. Coming into the season now, I should say going through the beginning of the season, North Adams is 2-2. They're still looking for their first non-league win, as they're 0-2 in that category thus far. They had Schreck wins over West Union and Eastern Brown, and then an overtime loss to Fairland, and then a loss over the weekend in the battle in the 7-4-0 against Bishop Hartley,
which is also overtime.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. So that one wasn't cool. Did I tell you how that finished?
The Fairland game?
No, the Hartley game.
There's something about a free throw.
Yeah, it was tied. Hartley goes to drive, and shot goes up, and Breeston Schweigert, I believe, might have blocked it to New Boston, and they called a foul. It wasn't on him. It was on before the shot, but, man, it looked...
Were they in bonus?
Well, they called it a shooting foul because I think they called it on the drive, but... yeah, it was like the gym went nuts because it was like he just blocked that off the wall, and nope, ends up being a foul. And it was 1.9 seconds left, and they made one of the two, and it was a heck of a game though. So, yeah. So go ahead, but yeah, their two losses are to Bishop Hartley and Fairland, who are both really tough.
OT,
yeah,
right. They've lost their non-league. The two games they've lost by a combined 3 points, right? And they're really two key. I can't speak for Bishop Hartley, but like Fairland has aspirations to win the OVC, obviously with South Point up there as well. I'm assuming I can't speak for Bishop Hartley all that much because we don't cover up there, but
they're usually one of the better schools. I mean,
I'd say you're not going to get invited to any of these battle in the showcases without being.
Yeah, without being
decent.
Yeah, without being a strong program, and Hartley had some nice pieces back.
So for North Adams, Copus, obviously the reigning Schreck, I believe that would be Schreck 2.
No, 1.
Schreck 1, one of the Schrecks.
Because theirs is the opposite of the SOC, because
the lower numbers is the biggest, right? So the reigning Schreck 1 athlete of the year, leading the entire Schreck 1 and Schreck 2 in points per game with 23 a night. Now for North Adams, they like to let it fly from deep. We have Breeston Schweigert, 7 of 16. Now, they've played 5 games, but these stats are just through their first 3. Now, I really wouldn't expect the ratios to change a whole lot, but through their first 3 games, Schweigert was 7 of 16 from 3, averaging 13 a game. Connor Rhodes was 7 of 15 from 3, averaging 10.5. I don't remember Copus. I don't remember his percentages exactly, but he was right around, double-digit attempts through their first 3 games, right? So they like to let it go from deep, and I think that's what we're going to see a little bit in this matchup Tuesday night. Now, for Minford, they're 1-1, 7-50 win over South Gallia in their opener, and then a 53-39 loss over the weekend, also in the battle in the 7-4-0 showcase at Shawnee State. I don't, like you said, I don't think we had a boys team.
We didn't against the non. Yeah. But you're playing New Albany, you're playing Bishop Hartley, you're playing Harvest Prep. Well,
we did have Fairland.
But it was against another local team.
We had a 100% chance of a local team.
Yeah. So kind of Valley and South Webster beat Belpre.
There we go.
Which, Belpre's still in the 7-4-0.
I cannot believe the mascot, the Jeep, was there, man.
Yeah, I know. You should be jealous of that.
I was upset. He had a little basketball suit on.
But I'm just going to throw it out there. South Webster beat the Golden Eagles that have no gold in their color.
Good.
Yeah, Belpre deserved it.
So for Minford, Miles Montgomery, only a junior in the opener against South Gallia, reaches 1,000 points. So essentially in 2 seasons, really, if they would have beat North Adams, probably would have reached 1,000 a season ago. I believe it was pretty early in the game that he reached it. Or at least that's sort of what I got from P. Floyd's post on SC Ohio Preps. Some other returners for Minford, we've talked about them briefly, and a couple other times we mentioned them. Bennett Kaiser, Jackson Shoemaker. Kaiser, a first team all SOC2 selection. Shoemaker, I think, was second team all league. So they're big returning pieces for them. I think for the most part, I know Minford lost Hannah and I think Adam Crank were sort of the main two. For North Adams, I think they brought back pretty
all but
large
one.
majority of their guys. So really, just looking back to last year's final, it's pretty similar teams for the two entering tomorrow.
Yeah, now you should watch, but when you do watch for who Breeston Schweikert guards, because it's going to be hilarious. He jumped tip against Bishop Hartley the other day. Schweikert, I think, is listed at 5'11". There's a 6'8" kid for Hartley. Like, he's going to play center for him, and like 7 for 16 from 3. Part of the reason why they shoot so many threes is because they're very undersized. Now, you mentioned Kaiser, who's 6'6", Jackson Shoemaker 6'4" and strong. And, you know, this is going to be a matchup where North Adams, okay.
I don't want to leave Seaman without seeing Kaiser throw one down.
I know.
He definitely can. I mean, I saw Hannah throw one down last year, so I'm assuming Kaiser can.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he can.
So I kind of want to see that.
So the big thing for North Adams, and this is something, like, I kind of wish they would have played on Sunday, because where I was sitting was right behind where their bench would have been. And they are by far the most intense team I've ever seen.
Minford?
No, North Adams.
Oh, North Adams?
Like, from the tip, they are focused on winning and doing everything they can to win. They're going to play their tails off, and it's going to be like they're going to fight and scratch and claw every second of the game. It might be with each other for a little bit because they're just so intense, and it's so much fun to watch. But yeah, I can't wait to watch this game. This should be a really fun matchup. Copus versus Montgomery is the kind of the showcase piece of the game, but you know, Schweikert,
Kaiser,
Shoemaker, yeah, like Rogers only a freshman.
I think Connor Young was another one, I believe. So
yeah, they have, you know, they play 7 guys. North Adams does, with 2 freshmen playing. So it's going to be a really interesting matchup. I can't wait to get down to Seaman.
Let me get an analytical pick here.
I'm going to take North Adams just because they're at home. But this is going to be it's going to have to be a dogfight for them to win it.
I'm looking forward to the atmosphere, I must say. I'm hoping Minford, even though we're live streaming, I'm not sure the distance between the two.
They got to go up 30 to, they got to go up to 23 to 32. It's probably not that bad. I'd say 45 minutes. That's my guess.
Either way, I'm just hoping we get a pretty decent showing. Wow, Minford, Ohio to North Adams, Massachusetts.
There you go. Type in Seaman, Ohio, sir.
Oh, I just type. Oh, yeah, I guess I could do that. I forgot the. Is it AN? Seaman.
Yeah.
52 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So,
but I'm hoping we get a pretty nice showing from both sides. I know the gym doesn't take a whole lot to fill it up, so we're not going to need a whole lot. And I mean, Minford's gym really isn't all that large anyway, so they're not. I mean, it's not like they usually have to fill up a ginormous gym, but I'm hoping we get a nice little tournament-like atmosphere on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, the Tuesday night's the only part where it's like maybe not, but
I think this is an exception.
I think this should
a D3. Minford's looking to get back. I mean,
yeah, it was a game last year during the regular season that Minford won, and then North Adams just took it from him in the convo. So at the biggest stage.
I'm looking forward to it. Should be a fun time. So we'll go from a game that the schools are 52 miles apart to a game that schools are, what?
Not 52 miles apart.
Not 52.
Logan Elm's technically Circleville. So.
Right. I mean, it's kind of like how Southeastern is technically Chillicothe, or I think Huntington is Huntington technically Chillicothe?
Yes.
So
I would say they're 10 to 12 minutes apart.
They're pretty close.
Yeah.
Same county, Pickaway County hoops battle. It's Circleville and Logan Elm. The Tigers are off to a 3-0 start this season. Now, this game is at Logan Elm, which technically a road game. So, I mean, you're technically not on your home gym. You still are in your home city. Not too far of a drive for the Tigers. They have wins over Zane, Trace, Southeastern, and Amanda Clear Creek. It's been a hot start for Briley Kramer. He's sort of been the go-to guy for the Tigers scoring so far this season, averaging 19.3 through their first three. It also helps when you have a big guy down low, Slater Search, averaging a double-double, 12.3 points per game, 12.6 rebounds per game. Those are guys we expected to sort of do exactly just that going into the season. I'm not going to try to name any other players for them because I didn't write any down, so it's kind of my fault for not preparing. But I know they have a handful of other guys that contribute for them as well. Those were just sort of the main two. Now you do lose Joe Ray over the off season, but I think with the players because they brought back a ton,
right?
And I think they have guys that can step up to fill his shoes. Now for Logan Elm, they're 0-2, still looking for their first win. Losses to Westfall and Hamilton Township. I think what I read was that was their first loss to Westfall since 2001. So it's been a little while since they had lost to the Mustangs, but they do this year, and they're going to look to get their first win Tuesday night at home against Circleville. Nehemiah Waugh had 18 points in the loss to Westfall. I couldn't find any stats for the Hamilton game, so I couldn't work out an average, but I would assume it was, somewhere in the realm of 10 to 15. So he's probably averaging around 15 points a game, or he may have went crazy in the loss and he's averaging 20. Regardless, I think Waugh is going to be a guy you look for Logan Elm to go to in this game. On paper, may not look like it could be the best game, but I think for Circleville, this is going to be a big test on the road, especially within the MSL.
Yeah, and Logan Elm is not used to starting off this way, so they'll be definitely hungry. And Waugh does so much for them. Like that Westfall game, he almost willed them to a win, which was a game that I'm trying to think of the nicest way to say it. Was over officiated. I don't know if that's a way to say it.
I had some fellas in the stripes thinking people were paying to come see them.
Yeah, there's a lot of whistles. Whole lot of whistles in that game. As I mentioned, Whiteoak playing with only 8 players the other day and having 3 foul out. Westfall that night had only played 8 players. But the 8th player did not get into the game until 30 seconds left because
somebody else fouled out.
Yeah, their third guy fouled out. So, it was a battle of attrition as Logan Elm, I believe, played 9, but they had 3 foul out also. So it was just one of those games where it was tough to really get a feel on either team. But the biggest thing I got from from Logan Elm was just how talented Nehemiah Waugh is and what he gives to that team. And I look for this to be a really good game. This is a game last year that I believe Logan Elm won early, but it was their costliest win of the season because that was the day that they had multiple players go down with injury, and it changed their season completely. And Waugh hit a game winner in that. It was the first time they played. So this is going to be a game for Logan Elm if they want to get their season going in the right direction. And for Circleville, obviously the win over Zane Trace is impressive, but Southeastern and Amanda Clear Creek, I think, were teams that aren't necessarily thought of too highly in the area. So this is a good kind of a proving point game for Circleville to kind of show, hey, we should be getting the attention that some people think that we should be getting. So, I think this should be a really fun matchup. And like you mentioned, Pickaway County battle.
Pickaway County, are they even doing Pickaway County hoops this year? I feel like I haven't seen it.
I don't think I've seen it, but I also have the new Twitter account, so I might not have seen it.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, sadly, R.I.P. Coconut Wallpaper. I got to check it out to see if someone hacked it and has been posting terrible stuff. I hope not.
Hopefully they at least change the name and the profile picture. But...
Oh, that won't happen.
All right, so we'll round it out with a game to end the week. We're potentially looking at this one to live stream. I think it could be a pretty competitive game between two former league mates, but since the realignment in the SOC, they are no longer as It is South Webster at Northwest. Webster staying in the big side, but moved to the SOC 3. Northwest staying in the sort of new, but not really SOC 2. Should be a fun matchup. Last year would have been a league game. This year it is not, but Northwest seems like they're finally getting to full strength, and South Webster seems like they have a point to prove in the SOC 3.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, what Northwest does as they have, with Connor Lentz coming back, you have Jay Jenkins, you have Caleb Lewis. Jenkins hasn't played the first 2 games. Will they be fully healthy? If they're fully healthy for this game, I think this could be a really fun game. Both teams are going to like to get up and down the court. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of the last name. It's a long last name. Wolfenbarker, the sophomore for Northwest, has had an impressive freshman year, so I think they could be a really fun team to watch. And they're going to need all the size they can get because South Webster, they will just run guards at you continuously, but also their bigs are kind of terrifying. As Tyler Summer and Eli Roberts are both averaging over 20 points a game, they've beaten up on some teams that, if you look at the fact that they're in SOC 3, you maybe are like, why are they playing? Why are they playing Green? Why are they playing Western? But then you have to remember South Webster's Division 4, and they're playing the Division 4 teams, and they played Belpre. They were actually losing by 6 to Belpre at the half. At the end of the third quarter, it was a blowout. Like they can turn it on. They're beating Western by 5 at the half, and then they're up by 20 after 3. So if you are not up on them big at the half, you better watch out because, Coach Norm Pearson does a really good job of making adjustments. I mean, he's getting closer to 800 career wins. So, I mean, you've seen a lot in that time. Right. He's got a good coaching staff as well. So it's a team that is not going to be fun to play. Oh, and then you bring Jack Timothy off the bench, who's averaging over 10 points a game as well. So you've got some really good guards and Motts and, I'm going to blank on a couple, but Christian White's another one. Hunter Bernard coming off the bench, and you're bringing guys off the bench that would start on a lot of other teams, and it's just to where they can just bring waves of players at you throughout. So I think they're going to be a really tough matchup, and I think this is going to be a really good kind of a litmus test for Northwest to see where they're at, because I think going into the season, they look like pretty heavy favorites in SOC 2. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a way for them to prove, we should be the favorites because right now Eastern and Western both look strong. I think South Gallia played with Minford for a decent part of that game. I think it was for 2.5 quarters. That was a pretty competitive game. And then Sims Valley has had a decent start as well. So, and Oak Hill is... got some shooters as well. So they're, it should be a fun matchup at I'm not going to say the Roy Rogers Gymnasium because I know it's not. I know it's the field, but along Roy Rogers Way. So
right. I will say if we do make the trip over to McDermott, the Jeep better be there.
I agree completely. It's not very far for them, although it's not.
They made the trip to Shawnee.
Yeah.
So hopefully the Jeep can make the trip. We might have to get a picture with it.
I think so.
I mean, it would have to probably come to us.
We would probably have to stick it on there and
we would definitely put it on the set. We need some Jeep merch, man.
Yeah.
I just want a little stuffed animal or a bobblehead. Oh my gosh, a Jeep bobblehead. That would be so sweet.
I love the Jeep.
Should have got a Pirate Wheelersburg bobblehead a while ago, but
we'll see what we can do later in the season.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. So that'll do it for today. No, I'm just kidding. That'll do it for the
first half.
For the first half. That'll do it for the boys segment of the show. We'll jump right into the girls side with some individual performances, a few more girls performances than we had boys performances. I believe we have 5 total. But we'll start off.
We had 5 for boys. We had 5 total.
Tate Davis, Caleb Schmelzer, Landon McGraw. Actually, we had 6.
Well, we had a twofer.
Yeah. But sort of
that
the
still
same.
counts. Yeah.
We'll start off with Notre Dame. Gracie Ashley had a double-double, 18 points, 12 rebounds in the win over Worthington Christian.
Yeah, Worthington Christian coming off a season with only 2 losses.
Wait, this was one of the games down at Shawnee.
Yeah, this was one of the games at Shawnee that the girls' team showed out and were really good.
Yeah.
And Ashley was, man, she was impressive. I don't know what her shooting numbers were, but I would say very good. You might be able to find that might be on Max Reps. They update their stuff. I don't know if it's been updated yet, but for Notre Dame, this is a team that is very senior heavy, and they do such a good job of moving the ball inside, outside. They got Ella Kirby that can really shoot it on the outside. They got Katie Strickland and Gracie Ashley inside. It's a team that, I was very impressed. They do a really good job of what they do. What they do well, they do it very well. And they handle the ball. They don't really turn the ball over. They shoot the ball pretty well, but they get the ball inside. And when they get it inside, they finish inside.
What stat were you looking for?
What she shot from the field in that game.
Against
Worthington Christian.
Against Worthington Christian. Give me uno momento, mi amigo.
Oh, we're not waiting a whole minute.
Give me un minuto media. I don't know. Worthington Christian. Oh, they picked up a win over Webster tonight. Shooting for which player?
Gracie Ashley.
Gracie Ashley. 7 of 14.
Okay. That's actually not as tight as I thought, because it felt like, but I will say, when I got there, it was they're down 12-8, and then they dominated after that. It was 40-27 was the final, so you're welcome, Notre Dame. So I brought the right amount of Catholicism into the, yeah.
You say Catholicness?
Yes, I almost said Catholicness, but then I remembered I am Catholic, so I know that's Catholicism. But Gracie Ashley had an outstanding game. I thought she did a really good job finishing, both right and left-handed around the hoop. Drew some fouls, and that Worthington Christian team was pretty tough too, and they completely just dominated that outing. So I was really impressed by them.
Then we'll look to we'll look to a player whose game we were in attendance. Maybe not as close as we thought it would be going in, as Piketon did keep it relatively close coming out of the break in the third quarter, but then Adena just sort of said, all right,
we're done.
We're kind of done playing around with you guys. And I think the final was like 20, I think it was a 29-point win. So, but in the win, Kiera Williams has a great night, 16 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals. Marley Halcomb, a great night as well, 16 on 4 threes. And Emma Garrison adding an extremely quiet 13 points and 10 rebounds. I think with Halcomb and Williams doing what they did, you just sort of didn't realize that Garrison had 13 points and 10 rebounds. But, I mean, when you have 3 players in double figures, I mean,
they were.
Is what it is.
I was very impressed with what they were able to do that night. 75-46 win. They also had J.C. Smith, Cameron Sowers, and Corinne Day all with 6 points. And then Olivia Farrell had 5 points in about a minute and a half of play.
Oh, was it her?
Yeah.
I thought it was. I thought it was this. I thought it was Smith that had the quick 5. It was
Farrell that had the quick 5, but Smith had a quick 6 also. And it was early in that fourth quarter, but it felt like, even when they were subbing, they were bringing in waves of kids that could really do a lot of stuff. But Williams, like, I've watched her play varsity for 4 years, and that was her best overall game that I've seen. So they only credited her for 3 assists, 3 steals, but I gave her
these are the SOSA stats.
These are the SOSA stats.
Gosh, that scared the crap out of me. My God.
Yeah, the heater just went off in our thing. I think the 1 a.m. alarm just went off to turn off the heat. Yeah. But Kiera Williams was outstanding in that game. I mean, 16, 8, 5, and 5 is just, and she shot the ball well. I think she was 3 for 5 from 3. Then mix in Marley Halcomb, hit 4 threes in the game. And it felt like when they started to take the game over in that second quarter a little bit, when they started to get some distance, it was because, like, she had 10 points in that quarter and just had a really good quarter overall. Only a freshman. I was really impressed with her, because that was the first time either one of us have got to see her in person. Yeah, in person. And then, like you mentioned, Garrison's very quiet, 13 and 10. Just, if if you can quietly do that, that means wait till the game where she goes off. So
I think those two will make life like so much more easier for her because they're going to look at a box score like this and say, well, we're going to have to look to guard Williams. We're going to have to look to get somebody on Halcomb. And then that's when Garrison's going to be able, like, I think I think a lot of her points came off of like she didn't really have to like make her own shot too often. I think a lot of it was like off ball, moving around, getting open. And I don't know if she even shot a 3.
I don't know if she
did,
did,
which I feel like is
like a big part of her game. Yeah.
So I mean, I think games like this, when teams are scouting, will probably allow her to have more big games with maybe not, having to take as many shots. Might get better looks than maybe she did last year, where it's like everybody's focusing everything on her.
Yeah, so like you really focus on trying to take away the 20-point a game scorer. Well, look, Williams and Halcomb each go for 16, and then like I mentioned, a bunch of other kids that could score as well.
5, 6, 7, 8, like all those add up when you have 5 kids scoring 6 or 7. I mean,
yeah, and that's not even mentioning Sydney Ader had 4, Caroline Corcoran had that big 3 in the first quarter. So I mean, it's just a bunch of kids, good depth, and should be a really outstanding team. I was really impressed with them that night.
And then another SVC guard, Allie Baker, in 2 wins over the weekend, averaged 21 points per game against Paint Valley and Laughlin. 4-2 start for Huntington. Have Adena on Tuesday tonight. They have Adena. Oh, I messed that up real bad, but we'll roll with it. Have Adena Tuesday night in a big SVC match.
Yeah, it should be a big matchup for them. Huntington giving them a chance to for them to show, hey, don't forget about us. They had a lopsided loss to Unioto, but I mean that's going to happen to a lot of teams. But really, Baker really showed out over the weekend. The wins over Paint Valley and Laughlin. I think I had jokingly told you on Friday down at Piketon, I was like, that's not a fun trip for Laughlin to come because I didn't think it was going to go well for them.
Is that a West Virginia team?
No, they're down by Cincinnati.
Oh, in Ohio?
Yeah. There's Loveland and Laughlin, both by Cincinnati.
Interesting.
They are on the complete opposite side of the school size scale also. So, yeah. So Loveland's D4 and Laughlin is very comfortably D1. Actually got La Rosa's Pizza in Loveland once.
Go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Used my $10
11 strikeout. Yeah. I've never used one of those.
Well, it was nice because that's when I was working at Indian Hill in Cincinnati. So like I'm on my way home. I'm like, I'm so tired. I got to get a pizza.
Get your free small 1-topping pizza. That's your I forget what they say. That's your community La Rosa's or something.
They don't do it. They don't even do that anymore, do they?
It's something else.
Yeah.
It's no, I mean, they still do the 11 strikeout thing.
The whole crowd chanting pizza when there's 2 strikes on the guy with 10 strikeouts in the game.
Yeah, and they're down by 10
15,
runs in the bottom or in the top of the ninth.
Hey, they signed their 15th third baseman this year. So.
Yeah, we're rolling in the right direction.
Yeah, so but for Baker, been impressed with her so far. She, I watched her down when they played Wellston. She didn't have the best shooting game, but she still was able to contribute in a lot of different ways in that game. I believe she had a double-double that night, and she is not a very big body for them, but she does a good job of rebounding for her size and making a lot of things happen. Along with Emma Henshaw, Tori Smith's had a nice start to her sophomore year for them. They've got some nice pieces, and I think Coach Eric does a good job with them, and that should make them an interesting team to watch for in that Division III.
Then we'll head a little bit south down to the OVC, Sienna Allen, a player that we're expecting pretty big things out of this season, along with the next 2 seasons, and hopefully even after that, it probably just about any college she wants to go to. She's been pretty highly touted so far in her short career thus far. But down at Shawnee State over the weekend, averaged 20 points per game against Pikeville, a Kentucky team, and then Fort Fry, who's just outside of our coverage area. I think they're in that twin. Are they in the Twin?
They're in the Twin Valley Conference, and they're the ones that are
4
from about me to you away from Waterford.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're in the East District. I would just ask hey, we're just across the Hawking. Right. Let us in the Southeast. But, they actually lost to Pikeville, which is a bigger school on Saturday, but they were able to beat Fort Fry on Sunday. And, Allen was outstanding in both games for them. She had 19 points against Fort Fry in a game they won 32-28.
That's about as low scoring as you see in a game.
And it was like Fort Fry was really slowing the pace down, but they were also like, when they got their first shot they really liked, they were taking it. So it wasn't like they were trying to win the game by stall balling. It was, hey, we're going to grind you until we get the shot we want. And I will say for, Coach Hughes for Portsmouth, she made a really good adjustment to move Sienna Allen out to the wing a little bit and also bring their zone up, because Fort Fry wasn't really looking around the basket. They were looking for threes and free throw line shots. And once that adjustment got made, the cadets weren't really able to do much. And a lot of that was because Sienna Allen and, Dasha Reed, the young freshman I thought played really well that day. So it would say, Portsmouth, I think they were a little frustrated at times because Fort Fry can really do that to you, but Fort Fry is going to win a whole lot of games. Their coach has won 700 games in his career. Actually was the boys and girls coach for 3 years at the same time. Yeah.
Well, how does that even work if they're playing at opposite places?
He might be the AD as well.
He might have sure they never played on the same day. That's a busy schedule.
Yeah. So he only did it for 3 years. I actually thought he did it for longer. So he was the boys coach, then he became both, and now he's just the girls coach. So, but yeah, I was impressed with Portsmouth because that was a game that it could have got away from them. They could have, packed it in, especially with being as young as they are. So it was an impressive win, and spearheaded by Sienna Allen, who didn't shoot it really well from the outside, and I'm not really sure even if she shot it many times from the outside, but she showed her ability to get to the basket and really did a good job of passing that day too. So I was impressed with her and her all-around game.
A little under a month. I think it's January 8th. We'll hopefully head down to P-Town, them and Fairland taking on each other. I think that's their second.
First one.
Oh, that
is the second one is like the second one's the last game of the regular season.
Yeah, but the first one at Portsmouth, hopefully we'll be able to get down there for that one. That's one of the more anticipated, for me anyway, girls games of the season. So one final player for us here on today's episode, Kenlie Jones of the North Adams Green Devils came up big, 26 points in the non-league win over South Webster, averaging around 17 points per game. I mean, as always, been a big part of this North Adams team here in the early going.
Yeah, and she shot around around 40% last year from three, and I know this year she started off very similar. They hadn't updated their stuff in the last couple games, and they actually lost on Monday as well. But they have really stepped up their non-conference. So, it's just kind of those things happen when you step out of the non-conference and you play good teams. They lost to West on Monday. But like you mentioned, 26 points in the win over South Webster, and that was a game where they needed every one of those points as they were in a battle throughout. They got off to a hot start, and then South Webster slowly crept back into it, and then I believe took the lead after being down 16-0 in that game, and then Jones was able to help the Devils, pull away at the end, with her, Tatum Grooms, Harley Brand, Caitlin Borger. They've got, a nice group, returning from last year. They lose Keaton Hupp and Laney Ruckle, but they still have some nice pieces back. And, a 2-2 start so far this year. And it's kind of, I think they're just trying to still feel out some things for them.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about a big game for them later on, but she's a big part of their, any success that the Green Devils will have this year.
All right, some big team performances going to Fairland, who nearly picked up a near 30-point, I think it's 28-point win over Reynoldsburg over the weekend down at Shawnee State. Some really big games for a couple of players on Fairland.
Yeah, so it was weird. They controlled the whole game, but at one point it was a 1-point game in the third. Then they stretched it back out. Then it got back down to a 5-point game. And then Reynoldsburg lost their minds for a second. And as soon as they showed that weakness, Fairland just poured it on them because it was 60-55. There was, in all fairness, a very late whistle, but also the play was right in front of me. It was a foul. The player from Reynoldsburg did not take kindly to it, was assessed a technical, which based on her coach's reaction was very appropriate because her coach was not happy with her. Fairland steps up, hits all 4 free throws. I don't think they actually scored on that possession, but anyway, it didn't matter because they finished the game on a 27-4 run from that time. It was very, very impressive. Like, you knew what they had coming back, but at the same time, like, just seeing what they did that day against a really good Reynoldsburg team. Reynoldsburg had came in with only 1 loss, which was to Pickerington Central, which is one of the best programs in the state. And, Bailey Russell, 32 points, 11 rebounds. And if you've seen her, she's not the biggest player, so her getting 11 rebounds, really impressive. Kylie Bruce, 19 points, 12 rebounds. Addison Godby, 18 points, 8 rebounds. And then Bree Allen, 10 points, 12 rebounds. If you hear the thing that kind of goes along with that was how many rebounds Fairland got. They scored 87 points and didn't shoot the ball well from 3. But they crashed the board so hard. And they scored, like, it felt like anytime they shot a 3, they were scoring no matter what because they were getting the offense rebound and then putting it in if they didn't make the 3. On the game, they out-rebounded Reynoldsburg 48-15. Like, 48-15. Like, what are you going to do? Okay, so Fairland's going to play fast. They're going to play good defense. They're going to move the ball really well. Oh, and then they're going to outwork you everywhere too. Like, that's miserable to play against. And I was just, I was laughing at different points of that game because I was just so impressed with what Fairland did. I think Coach Buchanan does a great job. And that's not even mentioning, Cam Barnett's, Issa Tillafaro. Like, those are 2 players that, give them, like, on Monday, they beat Ironton by like 49. And I think Barnett's had a big game. I think it's one of those things like, anybody at any time can have, a huge game for them. And I think the only reason why they may not score 100 in a game this year is just going to be purely for the running clock, because that's a team that they scored at such a high clip and, they're so skilled. It's just a really impressive team. 1 through 6 that mostly play, but I'm just going to go ahead and just say probably 1 through 15 too, just because I'm guessing if those top players are as skilled as they are, I'm guessing the players that maybe don't get as much run on the court are probably just as skilled and talented as well.
All right, so we'll look to one other team that's had a big start to this season. South Gallia, I believe the Rebels.
The Rebels.
South Gallia. Don't get talked about a whole lot on our side. A new addition to our coverage area this year as they make the jump to the SOC2. I believe they're still in the TVC Hawking and football or something.
No, they jumped this year. This was the first year.
But they were in the SOC1 for football.
Yes.
Because they only have 2.
Yeah.
But in the SOC2...
I'm still not sure how they...
for basketball.
I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't know how the SOC did this.
Oh, they have it for some...
Well, like, Northwest. Why is Northwest in 2? They're one of the biggest schools. Oh. No, I mean, why are they not in SOC 3? Like, South Webster and Valley are very small. Like, they're smaller than Eastern and Western, but they're in SOC 3. Like, how did...
I got an answer for you. Northwest wants to throw some banners up there.
Yeah. I'm sure that probably some people definitely agree with that. But yeah, South Gallia, I've been impressed so far. Like you're going to talk about.
Yep, 5-0 to start the season. I think it's safe to say probably the favorite as of now to win the SOC2 on the girls' side. Wins over Valley, Green, River Valley, Minford, and New Boston. Morgan Lyons and Tori Triplett, 2 players I guess I should say you sort of talked about in the previews this season. Lyons is up over 15 points per game, also has 9.7 rebounds. Triplett right around 12.7 points per game, and Macy Sanders averaging 7 and 7 with 7.7 points per game, 7 rebounds per game. Some interesting matchups this week for South Gallia as they head to South Webster to take on Bella Claxon and Skylar Zimmerman. They've maybe not had, I don't know their exact record, but I know they're definitely one of the better teams in the SOC3 on
well,
the
and they're
girls'
going to
side
be
this year.
They're going to be they're 3-2 so far, and they're going to be an athletic matchup nightmare.
Right. And then they host Portsmouth West on Saturday. So 2 big SOC3 matchups this week for Morgan Lions, Torrey Triplett, Macy Sanders, and the rest of South Gallia. Now, I really think just based on who they have faced, they've sort of, and it'll obviously be at the end of this week after they play West, they'll sort of have faced the top 3 teams in the SOC3 in their first 8 games to start the year. So really for South Gallia, the non-conference has been pretty tough to start the year.
Yeah, they've done a good job of challenging themselves. I think they knew what they had coming back this year. They also still go back to the TVC Hockey and play Waterford, who's one of the best D4 programs in our area. I mean, they have a couple state championships in the last decade. So they are going to go challenge themselves that way to get themselves ready for SOC2 play. They're going to be, just fully prepared because this is a really tough Division 4 schedule for them so far. They also do play. They go to North Adams on January 31st, and then they play at Notre Dame to end the regular season. Those could be.
Maybe we get down there for one of those.
Yeah.
I think either of those we'll see. We've never been to North Adams before, so we'll see how that goes.
We definitely have not covered South Gallia, so
right should be.
So it'd be really interesting. I'm excited to see how they do this week because those are going to be 2 really tough matchups for them, and I'm excited.
Yeah, a couple game previews coming up this week. First on Thursday, Peebles and North Adams. Yes, the same game I think we previewed a couple weeks ago. It's like their second meeting in 11 days, which. For a league, for teams that are going to play each other twice over the course of so probably safe to say 4-month season is a bit odd, but hey, we're doing it. Peebles, North Adams once again. Peebles came out on top, a 3-point win, 38-35 the first time around. This time Peebles has to make the trip down to North Adams.
Yeah, it's okay, so we talked about the SOC not starting league play until not starting league play until January. Well, you're done. You're
wrapping
done
up league play before halfway through December.
I remember last year when I was going to cover Riley Leonard at the end of the season to see if she could get her 2,000 point. It was literally a week in between their games to finish the season because they played so many league games early in the year that. And then I remember talking to North Adams after they beat Lynchburg last year at Lynchburg. And I said, and this was without looking at the schedule, poor job by me. I said, so when does Lynchburg go to your place? I go, oh no, we already played them twice. This was like December 14th last year. I'm like, what are they doing? And they didn't like it then. So I imagine when you got to play Peyton Johnson twice in 11 days, you're probably not going to like it a whole lot then.
No, probably not.
In that game where Peebles beat North Adams 38-35, they actually were losing 31-23 going into the fourth quarter, and outscored the Green Devils 15-4 for the win. Peyton Johnson on the season. Get ready, folks. 26.5 points a game, 10 rebounds a game, 6.5 assists a game, and 6.8 steals per game. Here's a shocker. She leads Peebles in all categories. I don't think she officially leads the Shack in all categories because I think Caitlin Borger might actually have slightly more rebounds, but we'll see. Are you going to pull it up? Mm-hmm. There we go. But it's not just all Peyton Johnson. I mean, it's a lot Peyton Johnson, but Abigail Smalley averages 11.3 points a game, giving them a really good second option. What?
She leads in rebounds.
Yeah.
Leads in rebounds, assists, points, steals.
Just click on her profile. See what she's shooting from the field. And how many threes she's made and free throws.
38.1 from the field, 30% from three.
I'd still take 30% from three. What's she shooting from the line?
67.
How many free throws attempts?
29 of 43.
It's still 43 in how many games is it? 4?
5.
I mean, that's almost 10. It's a little over 8.5 a game.
Maybe Hack-a-Shack might be the only way to stop her.
Yeah.
67's not awful, but
right.
I mean, clearly what people are doing.
Here's the thing:
through the first 5.
I think you got to try to wear her down because she's just very talented. I wish I could remember all of the acronyms that spelled out Amir Stoudemire's nickname of Stat, because that's kind of what she is. It might have been like supremely tall and talented, something like that. But she's not that tall, but she's very talented. But also with Cadence Carroll, Angel Gray, they have some players for Peoples that can make some things happen for the Indians. With North Adams, as we mentioned with Kenlie Jones already, averaging 17 points a game. Harley Brand, 12 points a game, and Caitlin Borger, 11 points, 10 rebounds a game. This is a huge game when it comes to the Shack standings. Loser will be 2 games back of Lynchburg Clay in the loss column. And it's a
sort of a must-win for North Adams if they want to at least keep their name for now, unless Peoples were to drop 2 other games. But in order to keep up in the Shack.
Right. Yeah, so it's a major game on Thursday night. And, it's a I don't know if you know this. They're all in the same school district.
I knew West Union, North Adams, Peebles were.
Yeah, I believe those are the 3. Manchester left it. So Manchester's no longer in that school district, so it's only the 3, which ends up being kind of weird because it's in like a comma.
Possibly. An odd shape.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Man, my tum-tum is, it's got that 1:30.
1:30 cravings.
Yeah. But yeah, so this should be a big game. I think it's going to be tough for, North Adams to slow down Peyton Johnson, but they've got a bunch of different bodies that they can throw at her and try to slow her down. If you can keep her under her averages, at least you got a fighting shot in that game.
Yeah, West Union, Peoples, and North Adams are the 3 in the Adams.
It sounds like the
Adams County district.
Yeah, the Manchester Greyhounds raced away from it, or bust away from it. Either way,
busts.
Greyhound buses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not you're more in the dog racing business. I'm terrible at betting dog racing.
There's no way you've bet on dog racing.
You drive down from Houston to Galveston, Texas, and League City. There is dog racing. The more you know. It's on the right, so you're heading down on the south. It's on the southeast. Might be there in a couple months.
All right, we'll wrap it up with a game coming up this Sunday. Unioto and Dublin Kaufman. One of the bigger non-league matchups I think we've had this season. I'm glad we know the name of the battle in the 740 because this is the battle in the 614. This is at Ohio Dominican. Kaufman's out to a 1-3 start, which, that's not great, even for a Division I school. Well, they lost a tight game to Mount Notre Dame, who at one point won 4 straight state championships. I think they're a couple years away from winning one. And then also a tight loss to Olentangy Liberty. Now, they did get pounded by the Fighting LeBrons from St. Vincent St. Mary to start their season, which was the game after Unioto played Huber Heights Wayne. But the Shamrocks are battle tested and coming off a season where they went 19-6 and won a district championship in Division I. They're a team that they've got some talent. It's going to be a different style than what they would have seen with Huber Heights. And I think it's one of those things where it's smart to face a team like this. Kind of like with Fairland, it's smart for them to go face a Dayton Carroll and a Reynoldsburg. Got to be, test yourself in the non-conference. Unioto's been, as I mentioned, they have to test themselves. They've been untested since that 60-56 loss to Huber Heights Wayne to open the season, or not to open the season, but on the opening weekend of the season. Besides that game, they're winning by over 40 points a game. I mean, they won by almost 70 the other day. So, I hate Max Prep so much.
Oh, it's the worst site there is.
I just love whenever I go to click on the roster and then the entire page shifts down and then I click on some random ad that I could care less about, that I couldn't care less about.
Yeah,
Malachi Branham went to St. Vincent St. Mary.
Oh, yeah, we would have got blasted by him because that's who DeSales lost to that year. We should have beat DeSales.
Is he on the Spurs now?
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
Yeah. He had 38 in the championship game.
Jesus.
It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Did Bronny ever go to St. Vincent St. Mary?
No.
I thought he went his freshman year.
He was always in California, but he had, they did a what's that thing called? You do in the summer, a shootout. They did like a shootout at St. Vincent St. Mary's with his school a couple years ago. Just casually flew across the country to play. And you see he got to play?
At USC.
Yeah, finally got in.
Lost to some
but at least he got in.
School that I've never even heard of.
Long Beach State? You haven't heard of They're the dirtbags in baseball.
Dirtbags?
Yeah, I don't know why they're the dirtbags.
That's like their mascot?
Yeah. It's like whenever you just kind of just be like, oh, we're just going to call ourselves something cool, and that's what they did. I can't think of what Long Beach State's mascot actually is. But yeah,
I'll look it up. Since we're at the end and we're just kind of messing around.
And I still haven't even gotten into the Unioto talk.
Oh, well, you go ahead and do that.
Yeah, the Tanks are averaging 70.7 points a game, led by Miley Smith, 17.8, along with the Maris Betts, who averages 13.8 points and a ridiculous 5.2 steals a game. Maya Hamilton averaging 12.7 points a game. She's really started to come along for the Shermans. Alexis Book, Magnolia Hobart, Amaris Betts, and Maya Hamilton are all averaging at least 3 assists a game this year for the balanced Sherman's attack. That's not even mentioning Amelia Urig, who's averaging 7 rebounds, like 7.7 rebounds and 1.7 blocks a game. Smith's averaging 2.5 assists and 1.8 blocks a game. What?
Just keep going. Their mascot, you'll never guess. It's so...
Well, it's not the... I know they're not the, like...
It's singular.
Ooh. Longshoreman? I know it's not that.
It's one word, five letters. It's extremely similar to one of the words in the name of the college.
Long Beach State Beaches?
You're almost there if you listen to the first 10 I gave you.
I don't know.
The Long Beach State Beach.
What?
They're literally the beach.
That's why they go by the dirtbags then.
The Long Beach State Beach. That's their name.
That can't be right.
I swear, I'm looking at it on here on ESPN.
Are you kidding me?
No.
That's the worst. That is their name? That's the worst name I've ever heard of.
Long Beach.
Oh my God.
State
yeah, I see it.
Beach.
Okay, it had to have been something else. Dan Monson's still their coach? That's the worst move of all time. Hey, I'm Dan Monson. I'm going to go from Gonzaga to Minnesota. Now I'm going to be stuck at coaching the beach. Oh, they were the 49ers.
Oh, they probably got a little cease and desist letter.
Yeah, but why did they change it from the 49ers? That's so bad. Okay, is there some... We're not going to get into a political thing, but what's wrong with the 49ers? They just went and got gold. They got gold.
The NFL is still...
I know. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that, but whatevs. But I do know that Dan Monson cost himself a lot of money from leaving Gonzaga because he left him right as they were starting to... He was the coach before Mark Few. Yeah. Bad move.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Mark Few is? He's Gonzaga's coach.
Now?
Yes. Oh my God, I hate you so much. Like, full offense, I hate you.
I know Ohio State and Michigan's coach.
Well, you shouldn't know Michigan's because he should be fired. He punched somebody the other day.
Again?
Yeah.
No way he punched somebody again.
It was his own coach, but that's all right. Whatever. At Gonzaga, Monson was 52-17. Then he went to Minnesota for 7 years, and now he's been awful at Long Beach State.
Beach.
Yeah.
He's been the terrible coach for the beach.
That's such a bad name. This has ruined my entire day. My Tuesday is ruined already.
1:36.
I know. And it's ruined because of the Long Beach State Beach. That's like, if you could think
somebody was getting real creative.
Yeah. You can come up with literally any other name.
It'd rather be like the Long Beach State beach towels.
Yeah.
Or like sandcastle, Long Beach State sandcastles. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. I mean, you can't be...
Slugs.
You can't be the Banana Slugs because there's already one.
It's like
UC Irvine.
Yeah.
No, it's not Irvine. It's somebody else.
It is. UC Santa Clara, isn't it?
Yeah, because Irvine is like the Orange Wasp or something.
All the UC schools are stupid, except like UCLA
Anteaters.
isn't that bad. Yeah, like what is that?
Yeah, it's you know what? It's fine. Whatever.
Are those the what other UC schools? It's UC Irvine, UCLA, Santa Clara.
Santa Cruz, San Diego.
Oh, that's what it is. Not Santa Clara, Santa Cruz. Is the Banana Slugs.
Yeah, but the California, what are those called? Branch
schools.
Yeah.
Nothing like the old OUC Hilltopper though.
Right. Yeah, so they've got...
Speaking of Hilltopper, why is Western Kentucky's logo literally just a red grimace?
Don't talk bad about Big Red. He's the best mascot there is. There's 10 campuses. As California says, you've likely heard of our campuses before. Each one of them ranks among the best in the world. Best in the world.
Ohio State has the #1 ranked communications department in the entire world.
Yeah, but the best in the world is back on Raw now.
That is true. With a terrible version of this, I hate the new Cult of Personality
that they read.
Yes,
yeah, they redubbed.
The old one was so much better.
Yeah, UC Berkeley, which is just Cal, UC Davis. I've seen that campus. UC Irvine, UC LA, UC Merced. How bad is that one? Never even heard of it. I've at least heard of UC Riverside. San Diego, which you don't normally hear as UC. San Francisco is also UC. UC Santa Barbara and UC Santa Cruz.
What are their mascots? Do you have to click on like each?
Yeah, you got to click on each thing. But I'm gonna see if there's a. There's also a Bernardino. No, that's Cal State, which is what like Cal State Fullerton, Long Beach State is.
Beach.
Yeah, along the beach. Oh, it's so bad. I'm frazzled by that. Like Wikipedia used to be so cool and so easy, and then now you have to you can't just click through dumb stuff, and it might be true now. It didn't. You never knew. Like back in the old days of Wikipedia, it was the Wild West. Now everything's got 50 footnotes because this is what it is. I don't care. They were talking about Governor Schwarzenegger. At one point, I would have thought that was a lie. I know he was the governor for a while, but I mean,
I remember teachers always telling us how not trustworthy Wikipedia was. But I've never read anything that's every once in a while dudes will get on there I remember a couple of years ago the Cowboys beat the Eagles or something, and somebody changed Dak's profile to owner of the Eagles or whatever. You'll get that, but I've never read anything that is not true. But I know if I cite Wikipedia as one of my sources, I'm gonna get whacked for it.
I'll just go to the bottom of their 7,000 links and just pull one of those. Okay, so I finally got a list. Man, UC Davis is a bunch of losers. They're only ranked in the world between 101 and 150, where UC Berkeley is 5 in the world. So I don't know what the ranking is, but you got UC Berkeley, the Golden Bears, UC Davis, the Aggies. What? Come on, that's lame too. UC Irvine is the Anteaters. I can't imagine there's too many Anteaters in California. UCLA is the Bruins. Merced is the Golden Bobcats. Oh man, they're a terrible university. They're only in the top 500.
It's lame.
Yeah, UC Riverside's the Highlanders.
Lame.
UC San Diego's the Tritons. When did that change? Yeah, that's different. Apparently the San Francisco that I know is the Dons is not a UC San Francisco because they don't have athletics. Santa Barbara is the Gauchos, and then Santa Cruz, of course,
Best
is
mascot in
the Banana Slugs.
Well, they're not even. Are they affiliated?
Who, Santa Cruz? Yeah, but they're Division III. Yeah, but they're still NCAA.
Oh, love me some banana slugs.
Yeah, when did they turn into the Tritons? That's whack. Okay, I'm gonna look to see when this happened. Because I thought they were like something with the, who was it? Jim Harbaugh. They were probably the cheaters before that. Jeez. But just scumbags. No offense to scumbags all over the place.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
This is a good way to end the episode, of course, as we're going to talk about water polo also. Apparently there's a statue of Triton outside of the Price Center, which is cool. Seriously, when did they change their name?
I don't know, but I'm literally about to fall asleep.
No, quit crying.
It's 1:42 in the morning.
Yeah, it's all right. No one's watching anyway, so not at this time. I would have turned it off a long time ago.
Oh, I turned it off and I'm sitting here.
Yeah. All right. I'm good. We can go.
All right. A lot of games coming up this week. If you're still watching,
go watch one of those games. Or watch us tonight.
Yeah, or watch us tonight.
Or yesterday. Watch us yesterday if you're watching this on Wednesday.
Yeah. Watch us Tuesday night. Minford at North Adams. Should be a great game. We're looking to stream 3 games this week. We're for sure getting 1.
Yes.
Probably for sure getting 2. I'd say pretty likely we'll be at Miami Trace on Friday. Looking to get down to McDermott for South Webster and Northwest on Saturday. But outside of those 3 games, a lot of good games coming up this week. We discussed our favorites in this episode. If you want to go back and look at them once again, timestamps in the description down below have all the players, games, and teams we talked about in this episode. So, John, unless you have anything extra you want to add in?
I just added all my extra in like the last 5 minutes of just looking at the UC campuses. So.
All right, well, get out and watch some games this week. If you can't do that, tune in to SOSA, Ohio, and check out what me and John get into this week. But for now, I believe that is all we have for you here at SOSA on... we don't have a sign for it, but SOSA Overtime, presented by McDonald's.